Wages World here. Come at you with a video. Today is July 7th, 2020. And yeah, so we're here. I'm gonna try and make this one kind of short, guys. Yeah, I didn't do a video yesterday. I've got some stuff going on here in the background. You know, my personal life and all that. Having a hard time finding some time to get this stuff done. So if I miss a day or two, please just try to have a little bit of understanding with that, if you would, please. But yeah, so we're just going to jump into it. I'll start with the comments, guys. This is from Surgery 68. It says, so, if new solar cycle, does that mean we are coming out of solar minimum? Okay, what I would say to that, guys, we most certainly are coming out of minimum, but it is a natural cycle. Okay, the sun has it's typically right around an 11-year cycle. So we're continuously either going to or away from solar minimum or solar maximum. We never stay in the same position. The conditions always vary. Okay, so in that 11-year cycle, you'll have a minimum and a maximum. Now, I know we've heard this grand solar minimum. Okay, that's probably what they were speaking about here. That is a big debate. Okay, some people think that that's actually happening, you know, as we speak, and there is evidence of that. There is some data there that can point to something like that. But that also is a natural cycle. Sometimes we go into a grand solar minimum where the conditions are pretty much just dead quiet in a very, very actually dangerous way. I don't think we're here that. I think we're coming out of that, so I don't think we actually went into a grand solar minimum. Now, you know, what the sun does from here on out, whatever, you know, I can't say, but that's my opinion on that. But we always are going minimum and maximum. So with any kind of activity, yes, we're starting to come out of the minimum, I think. We're going into it. As soon as they like designate, hey, yes, you're in solar cycle 25, that right there is going to tell you that we're going to do nothing but ramp up. Okay, so that's what I would say to that. This one here is from Barbie Sue Cherokee Sparrowhawk. That's a pretty long name, pretty cool. That's a long one. Says, I was just wondering, and this is a great question, guys, if the Schumann resonance affects children in the same way that it does adults, or is it different? Appreciate all you do, my friend. Love and light. Now, back at you. Love and light back at you. Listen, the Schumann affects everybody differently, at least a little bit, usually. Some of us are more sensitive, like myself. I'm very sensitive to it. Some people, you know, I didn't know what it was until I actually came across this kind of stuff. I always, you know, I thought I was the strange person that was getting ringing in my ears all the time. I wondered why sometimes my mood would just go, you know, topsy-turvy, and then I would be fine for months, and then all of a sudden, bam, same thing. But as far as the difference between an adult and a child, I don't know that there's too much data out there comparing the two. But I would kind of lean towards that it's going to affect everybody a little different, but the general frequency that we would be experiencing should hit us all about the same. Now, how we react to that is where it becomes different, okay? And some of us, like I just said, we do sense it a little bit more. It does affect us a touch more, sometimes a lot more. But as far as an adult to a child, I'm not sure if I have a good answer for you there. I don't think that it would affect, you know, just drawing a line like that. I think it would probably be the same across the board. But again, you know, I could be wrong. But I've not seen any data on that. I think that's a great question. If anybody has any research on that, you know, send it my way. I'd love to know. Great question. So, speaking of the Schumann, I'm going to take you back in time here a little bit. And I already showed you guys these captures, but I'm doing this for a reason. Okay? I want you guys to pay attention to where this, see that right there, the time stamp? Well, it's not the time, it's actually the date stamp. But just pay attention to that. And I want you to look at that in comparison to where these spikes are starting. Okay? And I went through all these days I'm getting ready to show you already once in a video, but I want you guys to see this again because, anyway, my point here would be, you see how that's pretty intense? That's a spike, right? Well, that's a spike too. Okay? It started at the same time as that other one did. All right? Now, when we see stuff like this, we tend to like kind of glance over it. But that is not our normal frequency that we experience. That is a spike. That's outside of the norm. Okay? When I say spike, I guess an anomaly would be a better word there. Or just an effect of what we're actually experiencing. So you got this, and again, that, may not affect people like this one would, but that's nonetheless, it's still a spike. Something's going on there that changed the frequency. Okay. Now we go on to the next day. Obviously, I already showed you guys all these. Now remember, look at that. Look how close it is. All this stuff is at the same time. And we can look down here too at the actual physical time down here on the bottom. But, we're just looking at a ballpark here. We're not like going down to the minute. So there's on the first. Now, there's a few days here that I put together. And, if you look at that, obviously you can see where all those spikes started at the same time. Okay. Now, the last capture I showed you there was on the 1st of July. So on the 2nd, it broke the streak. Okay. We didn't get a spike there, but look what happened shortly thereafter. Okay, just a few hours off. It was like 4 or 5 hours off. This is why I think this might be being done intelligently. Because these are really close to the same time, but they're not exact. This one wasn't. Okay, and then again, on the 3rd, same thing. Not a whole lot going on there. Right? I mean, we did get this little one here. But it seems to be about 24 hours different between those two spikes. If we look at it, it's probably going to be about the same. So here it starts about 1718. When does this one start? 1718. So my point here is it's 24 hours apart. Okay? Which is exactly what those other spikes were doing. Now look what happened here on the 4th. We went right back to that same time frame. And something else I want to point out here, there's been a spike every day. It might not have all hit at the same time because we were off a little bit here on the time frame itself, but we had a spike every day. We've had a spike every day for days now. Weeks, actually. I can't ever remember that ever happening. Ever. Usually it's once or twice and we move on, right? This is something that we need to pay attention to because this is something that has legitimately changed and it's not going back. It's not. So here's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, okay? And again, like I said, guys, just because this doesn't look as impressive as this does not mean that it wasn't a spike or an anomaly, because it was. That's outside of the 7.83, and it's going up and down some. I mean, it got right around our base frequency here. I call it base. I really shouldn't do that, but seemed to be pretty intense right around that area. So, I'm not really sure what's going on there. I've been looking for that coded, that hash mark. I think it's still there, but it's being covered up by the other frequencies. I mean, look at that. There's an increase of frequency everywhere there. Okay, guys, this is the most recent capture. Look. That's the 6th. Look what time it was. Remember the reference of that date stamp? Okay, we're back to that, and it's doing it again. Look. See how, this is a good way to show you. You see how most of this is kind of blue, and then it went to green here. When did it start that green? Right around that, 11, 12, 1300 hour mark. So, stuff is happening here. And I don't really have a good answer of what's causing it. Like I said, I think it's being done intelligently. If it's natural, in my opinion, it has to have something to do with either the sun or something else that's in the same spot in space that's changing our frequency. So that's what I would say to that. But yeah, so that's still continuing, guys. Spikes every day. Every day. I don't know I've even I don't think anybody's ever uttered that sentence. um, I've not heard anybody say that, every day for like weeks. This is, like I said, guys, that's a spike too. It's not a very large one. It didn't last very long, but it most definitely was a spike. Something caused that. So yeah, so we're gonna move on from this, but I wanted to point that out because, again, what do we do about this? Well, there's absolutely nothing we can do about the actual change in frequency, and I think that at some level we need to start accepting the fact that this could be a good thing too. Okay, we could be going into a place where the frequency is just going to rise, and that could be good. I'm just saying, it's going to affect us all a little bit different, like I said before, but the rise in frequency isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could be a good thing. So we have to keep that in mind also. Now, we can't forget the bad either, like mental health issues and crime rate and all that stuff that happens when this thing's all jacked up. But we do need to keep all that out there so we can, look at it and make good decisions. So anyway, I thought that was a really good question, with the kids, between the kids and the adults. A great question. And, and this one here too, I mean, that's a great question too. It allowed me to explain something to you guys that, the minimum and the maximum there. Now, I'm going to take you guys over to seeds because all that data uploaded, so I'm going to show you guys that real quick. Okay, guys, I got you over at seeds, and again, this is our view, okay? This is LASCO C2. That's a satellite that's out there on SOHO, okay? SOHO is the satellite. The LASCO C2, what I'm showing you here, is this tool or camera, however you want to word that, okay? That camera is on the SOHO Observatory, which is a satellite that sits right out in front of Earth, like right there. Okay, and it's always looking at the sun, in case people wanted to know that. So this is our perspective. It's as if you walked outside and looked up at the sun. That's our point of view right here, what we're looking at. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to push play, and, we already talked about the CME that happened here, but I want to show you guys this thing. This data came in, and it's very impressive. Number one, Scott caught something in there too, and I'm going to show you the captures he got also. But check this out. Oops, let's go forward. Okay. And again, whenever you see that red and blue show up, it's CME. Okay, now look at that. Now watch what happens. Look at this. That's a pretty sizable looking thing there. Okay. I'm going to speed it up so we can see it a couple more times here, just so everybody can see it. All right, now you're seeing it blow out like that. Now, also, I don't want people to forget that stuff is happening over here too. Okay? And you can even see little jets popping out there. So when that's happening, you know that some of it came our direction. Now, I know that this isn't going to hit us on the chin or anything, and it may not even give us a glancing blow. And I've already talked about that, but I think we need to keep that in mind that it can still affect us a little bit. But that is not coming at us, just so everybody knows. Let me say that right off the bat. It's actually going towards stereo A. It's going to hit stereo A right in the face. But if you look at it on the red capture here, you'll be able to see it. It's like that. Now, something else I want everybody to look at. See all that sparkling? That seems to be the norm now. And again, I think we're in a more debris-filled area of space right now. And the evidence of that, data for that, would be all the fireball sightings and stuff that we've been seeing and hearing about for, a good amount of time now. They just keep coming. So we'll go to the next day here. This is on the 6th. Okay. Now, what I thought was cool, you can see at the end of that, at the beginning of it, I guess, it's almost like a big loop. Now, you see that flash right there? Okay, so what I'm going to do when it gets to the end of the time lapse here, I'm going to stop it so we can check it out a little bit better. Let's get forward here to the beginning. And it'll be right there. Okay, that's the first capture we got for this day. So check that out. So again, this was in size. When we're talking about size, this actually covered a pretty good area. And if you look at this, you can almost tell that it was a filament release, okay, because you can kind of see it there. But I'll show you the capture Scott got. If you look at this, you can even see how this looks like it's coming out. And you got the bright around it. Okay, I've not seen too many of them look like this. Now I've seen it. I'm not saying this is like unheard of or anything. I'm just saying this is a pretty unique CME that happened here. And I think once I show you these captures, you're probably going to know what caused it. So we'll go into that in a minute. But let's go to the next day. Now this is today. Okay. Something as of note here at the end of this one, you actually see a little bit of flashing, then you're seeing something happen here. Okay. It's not nothing big, it looks like yet. I don't know, but I can tell you right now, I do think that there's some sort of rejection happening right here. And it may not be big, I can't really say right now, but we'll have to wait for more data to come in. It does look like something's going on right there. Again, that black disc is the occulter. It blocks the main light of the sun, so we can even get a capture on this thing. Okay? But yeah, so I thought that I wanted to show you guys that data there when they uploaded it back, because look at that. That was a pretty impressive looking little, I don't want to call it little. That was a decent sized CME, guys. Ignore that, please. But yeah, so I wanted to show you that. Okay, guys, I got you over here at spaceweather.com. Please go check these guys out. They're doing a great job. I don't personally know these guys, but these guys are whoever's doing this site is doing a great job. I do think that, you get some pretty good information here. And the stuff that they talk about seems to be pretty much on point. So, I'll leave a link like I always do, and go check them out. Give them some love over there. But what they're talking about here in this first article here that they written, New Cycle Proto Sunspot Update. Okay, there was a spot on the sun that kind of emerged, and it didn't last very long. It looked like it was going to go ahead and go into a full sunspot and get designated as a number, but it only lasted a few hours, and it went back to dead. So it kind of just went away. But why I'm bringing it up is because it was part of the old solar cycle. It had the polarity of solar cycle 24. So, or did it? No, that's not the one. That's not the one that had that one. Okay. It was actually part of solar cycle 25. It was the one previous to that. Sorry about that, guys. Correction. But as you're looking at this, it's just another marker that we can say we're starting to wake up, But anyway, also, here's Comet Neowise. I'll give you a little touch of that. Check that out. Look at that, man. That is just completely awesome. I'm sorry. I mean, am I the only one? Am I a nerd like that? I don't know. But as you can see, what makes this one so special? You guys see what's passing through there? Not only is that the comet, but there's noctilucent clouds there. I'm going to be explaining what noctilucent clouds are a little bit here in this video, but I'm going to go in more in depth on what they actually are. These are actually in our, I think they're in our mesosphere. Okay, it's the highest part of our atmosphere. Okay, it's like 80 some kilometers in the air, right? Altitude. It's at the very top. And what they think causes these are it's meteor dust, and well, right here I guess it does give a thing here. Frosted meteor smoke is what they call it. This basically the stuff it like encapsulates around this meteor dust and freezes, that kind of a thing, and it causes these things. I'll go into more of a better detailed definition of that later on. But yeah. So and that's kind of rare, guys. Noctilucent, there's actually a season. It happens in the summer. Okay, because the moisture gets up that high, and when it gets that high, it gets cold, obviously, and that's able to freeze around that meteor dust is what they're calling it. Now, guys, there's a lot of question on whether or not that's even the case. Okay, I'm not going to argue either way on that one, but for me, I think it's a plausible explanation, but it might not. I really don't know what I think on that one, just to be honest. I do think that is a very legitimate theory, or how they proved it, I don't know. But what these clouds look like, they're usually blue and ripply, okay? So to see a comet going through that area, and you're looking at this comet through these noctilucent clouds, is extremely rare. I'm talking, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, guys. The guy who took this, I'd have to look into that here in just a minute, but go give these guys some love for that. I mean, that is awesome. And they typically seem to be blue, and like I say, it happens in the summertime. So we know that on Earth that the summertime is in the northern hemisphere right now. Well, there's actually a summertime in the southern hemisphere opposite of us, right? So it happens. So we're getting noctilucent clouds almost year round, but it is either in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, depending on what season it is. Okay, what time on the calendar it is. But these things are pretty cool to check out. I mean, actually, I think they have a. Is it on this one? Yep, there it is. You see this? Okay, what this is a noctilucent cloud graphic. And you're looking straight down onto the North Pole, is what you're looking at there. Okay? You can see kind of continents and stuff. They placed them in here. But yeah, they tend to stay right around the poles for obvious reasons. But they seem to be stretching more down towards the equator right now. It's a very, very intense season for these noctilucent clouds. What that means is, the moisture's getting up there. The temperature's probably a little bit different than what it normally is. Plus, there's probably more, I guess, quote unquote, meteor dust. Because we've been seeing a lot of that, guys. Like I just showed you in the LASCO C2. So I do think that this is noteworthy, that we need to pay attention to this a little bit. I mean, is it going to cause us any problems? No. But this is a beautiful thing to go look. I mean, that comet and this, I mean, come on. Awesome stuff. So, take that for what it's worth. Okay, guys, check this out. Okay, now this is our sun, obviously, and it is I think it's the 193. Yeah, it's the 193 angstrom. And why I'm showing you this is because we haven't seen this in a while. The equator's here, right? The Earth's here. What's right there where the Earth's at? Oops. We got that coronal hole, okay? But that's not the only thing I want to talk about. You see how that coronal hole seems to be getting bigger, and it's lasting. So, I do think here in about 3 or 4 days, we're going to start seeing an increase in solar wind, and it's going to be a longer lasting event than what we have been seeing. Judging by this, that's one of the bigger coronal holes that I've seen in a while. And this is a legit one because it is pretty, you can tell, because it's pretty dark looking, okay, on this 193 angstrom. So, if we're going to look for coronal holes, it's this one and the 211, usually what we go look at. It would be the bronze view here and the purple one. So, yeah, I do think that, we'll have to pay attention to that. Because what happens with all this stuff when we get high solar wind and stuff like that, we're getting space weather, it does affect the chances of earthquakes, guys. And we had that one we had actually had a volcano start erupting. It shot way up in the air. And we've had some deeper earthquakes, like a 6.6 that were deeper down. When we get this weather, solar weather, it does. You can put it together. 1 + 1 with the earthquake type of thing. It's part of the equation on why we have earthquakes. At least the timing of them. We're going to have earthquakes regardless, but sometimes this is the straw that breaks the camel's back when we get hit with these big solar winds. Now I can't tell you how fast this is going to be when it gets here or how dense, but I can tell you that we're probably going to experience an uptick in solar activity here. We're going to get an increase in solar wind and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, sorry about that. I was going to add this in. I forgot to show it to you when I was talking about it. So I'm just going to put it here on the end. This is during that CME. This is most likely what caused that CME to happen. And this is our 28-day orbit object. It's in the right time at the right place, just like it typically is. So, anyway, I'll show it to you. These are the ones Scott got off of Cactus before we got our data uploaded back to Seeds. So, yeah, there's that. Let's go this way. Okay. Well, there's a zoomed in pic. Yep. So, this right here is a good way to show you that what happens after the CME actually hits our object and what it looks like afterward. Because that's what's after it. Okay. See how it still kind of holds the same shape, but it's not exact. That's exactly what we would expect for plasma going around an electromagnetic field of some sort. So we'll toggle through here. And again, these weren't touched up. These are just off of Cactus. He may have dropped the brightness or the contrast a little bit. I'm not really exactly sure, but it does look like these were not filtered hardly at all, if any. So, and again, so you can kind of still see how it tried to hold that shape of that circular object there. So, but yeah, guys, I mean, I really just don't know what else to say about that kind of thing anymore. We've been saying it now for, well, over a year after we researched this out. I mean, just completely researched it out. Went back on, the tools and stuff and found all the CMEs that were happening at the same time and all that. But, yeah, another great job by Scott. This is most definitely, again, we would see it on Soho too, over on Lasco C2, but that data didn't upload for like 6 or 7 days, and it finally uploaded, and they put all that stuff back. So anyway, guys, there you go. Yeah, I'm just simply showing you the observation stuff that we're seeing, guys. So you make up your own mind, but for me, you guys know what we think. So anyway, God bless. You should have saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.